going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Voice, and you're here for another Facts Project review. Here we are going to talk about issue 2 of New Gods. Of course, Rand V writing, Evan Cagle, masterful in doing all the illustration, and even has a guest artist in Jesse Lonergan doing a couple pages here and there. But to get right into this story, from what we've saw out of issue 1, to bring it up shortly, we were met with the fact that Orion was looking for Scott's help, Mr. Miracle's help, in the fact of trying to find a child that's out there, a resurgence that Highfather gave him as an order. If Orion finds a child, he is to murder it on sight. But he called on to Scott and basically asked him, he was like, look, I need you to do me a favor. I know my duty to Highfather, to New Genesis, that I should get out there and basically find a way to destroy this child. But if you get to it first, I know that you'll keep it safe. But I know what's going to happen to it if I get my hands on it. So it all derived around Darkseid's death. And of course, being the fact that Orion is basically set loose on Earth is kind of a hindrance of Highfather's confliction that I talked about in the first issue. Now, you tend to notice in issue 2 that it's very bothersome of this new position that Highfather seems to be placed in, due to the fact that Darkseid is no longer here. But it's more so the fact that he understands that there's a lot of people coming for his spot. That whole impeccable balance that used to happen between Apokolips and New Genesis might not even be there anymore. So in comes a brand new champion to the fold, and he goes by the name of Karok Ator, and he's introduced as like basically the new antagonist, self-described scavenger, who finds himself the ruler of Machinatorium, a breach beyond expanse in the unknown space on the outer rims. So there's so many names that he goes by. Karok Death Speaker, they named him at the High Gates. Karok Dean, to the hordes under his command. Karok Curseborn, to those who have fled his gaze to yet tell tales. That almost seems like Tolkienesque. That the way that you like position a character, especially a villain in this part, to pretty much know that the research on the lips of certain men, out of the mouths of many, also know him by, yes, his surname, but know him by just different names of like how he's basically traveled himself amongst the galaxy. But he's a humble god. You know, he's not as conflicted, not as well of praise as most of the gods out there in this DC universe, but yet he feels as though if there's a need for him to claim what's his, he can do so. And this provides a lot of context because it kind of like shifts back and forth to where you now understand the fact that Metron has now arrived at Apokolips to talk to Desaad. Of course, this is Darkseid's right-hand man. And it was weird because the conversation started with Metron telling him, "Hello, friend." And it was like the way y'all been at odds for this long is kind of crazy. And the the olive branch that's being thrown out there is also even crazy. Um, but of course, it also brings us back down to earth, and you're coming to understand that Scott, Mr. Miracle, is pretty much at odds with this. He is now living on Earth. Of course, he's got a brand new child. And the last time we saw Barda, she was exhausted, probably taking a nap because of the things that they go through as new parents. But he put his costume on and he tried to sneak outside. And lo and behold, it's probably one of the funniest panels. It's probably the best panel I've seen so far this year, is the fact that Barda is standing there as Scott is trying to exit the door like an angry baby mother with child in hand. Like, Scott Free, where in the hell do you think you going? And she's already dressed in full uniform. It was like, if you think you're gonna leave here, you're taking me and the baby with you. You're on diaper duty forever. So of course Scott has to understand, but like, look, this is a family venture. Barda has been in this for the long haul. You got to give Barda credit too, man. Like she's a rider. So, and that's a great thing. But then you also got to come to understand that, because of everybody's paranoia now within the universe, you start to see the gods as something else. A lot of emotion in these panels. Highfather being consoled, Desaad looking frightened, um, Scott, of course, not sure of himself because this child, he has no idea what to expect when he encounters this child. And it just so happens that towards like the three-quarters of the way into this book, you come to find out that, this child, of course, it was born and raised in India, was found on the steps of a temple. And the temple, like kind of resembles New Genesis. And I hope, if you remember Justice League Darkseid War, to where the occurrence of Darkseid's death happened to bring forth the fact that he was reincarnated as a baby. And I would hope that we're not doing this again. I mean, that would be a sour note to start that all over again. If anybody wants to basically look into that story where Batman used baby Darkseid to create a portal to the dark multiverse, I mean, it was cool back then. But I'm just saying we've seen that story before. But also more so intriguing, the foot soldiers that were chasing the parents and this child at the end of issue 1 belonged to Maxwell Lord. And you're like, what's he got to do with this? He was just in a coma, and it seems as though he's been marked with the Omega sign on his forehead and carrying out the design that Earth should garner up the power set of gods in the future. But all in all, excellent second issue. Um, Ram V, I've been look, I've been saying it since Dawn Runner, since like the one hand and six fingers. Like he's just doing good stuff. Just great work, great writing. Evan Cagle, sky's the limit for this guy. I'm telling you. And Jesse Lonigan, the pages that he did, the concepts of the breaking down for Kator, that was phenomenal. But definitely check us out. I will be reading issue 3. If you've never seen us here at the Facts Project, we do a review every couple of days, as well as the podcast format where we talk to a lot of indie creators. But look for us out. We'll see you next time very soon.